Hello, I'm back. I made a video a couple weeks ago, and I'm making another one. So that's pretty cool. I read the comments on my last video, had some very nice things written in there, so thank you everyone who commented, and everyone who watched my video. I had some people tell me they liked it, and that made me happy. Also got some constructive criticisms, so I'll try to stop moving as much in the frame. So today, instead of talking about a specific movie like I did last time, I'm going to be talking about a topic regarding different movies. And not movies I like this time. Rather, I'm going to be talking about movies I don't like. But I'm going to talk about specific moments or scenes in those movies that I did like. I'm just going to cut the intro and start talking about the first movie, Attack of the Clones. This movie sucks. I really don't like Attack of the Clones, really, at all. It's easily my least favorite Star Wars. As terrible everything. Everyone talks about this movie and how bad it is. You already know, you don't need to hear it from me. But it does have a scene I like, obviously, or I wouldn't be talking about it. That's the point of the video, is to talk about scenes in movies that I didn't like, that I did like. I'm not gonna keep that in. But it was funny. You're familiar with Obi-Wan Kenobi. In Attack of the Clones, he heads to a planet called Kamino, which is basically just a giant ocean. He goes there because he found a poison dart in the neck of an assassin that was trying to assassinate Senator Amidala. He goes to see an old friend who he thinks is going to know what it is, and he does. He tells him to go to Kamino. He goes to this planet and meets the bounty hunter named Jango Fett, who is creating a clone army out of himself with the help of the Kaminoans. Then as he's leaving, he sees Jango Fett and his, well, Boba Fett, we won't talk about him, about to head out on their ship. And this leads to the scene that I do like, the battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jango Fett in the CGI rain. Besides that, though, this scene is really fun. It's just a simple little action scene, a fight between one person and another person. Though, of course, one has a lightsaber and one does not. He has a variety of weapons, including a blaster and a rocket launcher, and his ship, which has missiles, which he uses to blow up Obi-Wan in repeatedly hilarious ways. You just get a barrage of Obi-Wan taking explosions to the face, and it's hilarious. We get a scene of Obi-Wan karate kicking Jango Fett through the air. Jango grabs onto Obi-Wan with a wire and just drags him all over the place. And then he falls down and just hangs over the CG blue screen ocean. And besides the effects not looking the greatest, the scene's just a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it for adding fun to the movie where there's barely any, and not having a lot of dialogue where there's way too much. We do get some classic Obi-Wan one-liners though. I think maybe just one. Oh, not good. You know, my review of that movie in a nutshell. But Jango versus Obi-Wan, pretty fun, good time. Only scene I like in the movie that I otherwise hate. That's really all I have to say about that. Next movie. Alright, so next up, I'm going to talk about The French Connection. This is a movie that was critically acclaimed and its time. Came out in 1971 and won the Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Actor for Gene Hackman. I have no idea how, because this movie sucks. It's just a really generic crime thriller. It's basically just a single long chase scene. You have this one guy following this other guy slowly for about 2 hours. And I watched this movie because it won 2 Academy Awards over a movie that I do love, Fiddler on the Roof. I don't understand how, though, because it's not good. The characters have no depth whatsoever, if you can even call them characters. If this movie is remembered for anything, though, it's probably for one chase scene that occurs about midway through the movie. This one scene follows our main guy, who I don't even care what his name is, so I'm not going to check. He's following bad guy Mr. McGee. That's his name now. It's not really, but I'm going to call him that. Mr. McGee's trying to escape him for some reason, and Mr. Good Guy's trying to follow him. I don't even remember why. I don't care. It's a bad movie. Don't watch it. And this scene's pretty fun because it almost plays like a comedy, even though I don't think it was meant to. He's trying to follow the guy onto a train who notices that he's being chased, so he keeps going off the train at the same time that the other guy's going on. So you get a little back and forth on that, and that's neat. Then he does a fake out. He gets off the train, and then immediately back on, while good guy, Mr. Good Guy, he just gets off and doesn't notice the other guy getting back on. because he figures he's going to stay off. Then the train leaves. So, our Mr. Good Guy, who's a cop, I forgot to mention that, it's important, because he commandeers a guy's car for police stuff, and he just doesn't care. He just goes crazy through the streets, crashing into pretty much everything besides people, trying to chase this runaway train that's just going crazy. Mr. McGee, the bad guy, is just holding a gun to the train conductor's head, like, gotta keep the train going. So you have this crazy guy in a car, just barreling through the streets, chasing a runaway train that's just gonna crash if it keeps going. That's intense and exciting. And what I wish more of the movie was, you know, good. And somehow people like it. I don't understand how. I'm done talking about this movie. It sucks, and I never want to watch it again. And the last movie I'm going to talk about today is Annihilation. Annihilation is like a sci-fi horror, trippy visuals, mutant monsters thing. Came out in 2018. It had pretty mixed reviews actually from critics and audiences, surprisingly split. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I'm really neither, but I don't like it. It's not very good. It has some decent performances and really cool visuals. That's all it's really got going for it. It's just a pretty standard sort of sci-fi with uninteresting characters going into an uninteresting thing that is never explained, spoiler alert. And really all we know is it's like mutating life for some reason. It's doing stuff to the genetics of the animals and the plants there, and even the people who are going in there, as we see in a decently creepy scene. There's really just one scene everyone talks about in this movie. The one scene that makes Annihilation worth watching at all, if ever. About midway, our main characters find themselves in a situation that isn't very pleasant. One of them is dead, and another one's going crazy because she thinks that our other main characters are going insane and trying to kill them. So, you know, she's gonna try to kill them. As you do. She has them tied up to chairs and gagged and all that. She's like, what are you doing here? What is your thing? Why are you trying to kill us? She thinks they're all going crazy. They're all like, what's this? We're not going crazy. And then she hears the voice of the person that we think is dead scream out for help. Spoiler alert, she actually is dead. She was killed by a bear. So she's like, what? What's this? You're okay? I hear you screaming for help. So she goes to look for help and then gets attacked by the giant bear. And this bear is huge and terrifying, and it's screaming with the voice of their dead comrade because of some mutation stuff, I think. I don't really remember or care. Because now this bear is in their room and trying to kill them. So they're just sitting still, like, no sudden moves. So of course one of them takes sudden moves to try to get a gun, tries to shoot at it. It says, what is this? Starts screaming like crazy. It has a terrifying scream. So this bear's just rampaging now through this room that they're all in. It's the only intense scene in the entire thing. It's the only scene I even cared about in the slightest. It's the only thing I really remember about the movie other than the ending because it confused me so much. I really like this bear attack scene. It's super well done. But I do wish the rest of the movie could have lived up to how interesting that scene was because the rest of it's just pretty boring. If you're not too disturbed by gross and scary images, I'd recommend looking up this scene. And that's really all I have to say. So yeah, that's all of the movies I have to talk about, though. I've seen a lot of bad movies with scenes that are actually pretty decent, so maybe I'll do this kind of topic again in the future. Question of the day, what's a movie you didn't watch? Question of the day, what is a movie that you watched that you did not like, but it had a scene that you really did like, or maybe even loved? I'd like to know in the comments, let me know. Subscribe, thumbs up, or down, I literally don't care. So, I will see you at another time, in another video. You can tell me how to be good, and hopefully I will get good, and talk about more movies I like instead of movies I don't like. I'd rather be talking about Paddington. I need to watch it again. Paddington's a good movie. Let me know what movies you want to see me talk about in the future. I will look into them and see if I can do that. I don't know how to end this video. Sometimes when a movie ends, you're think to yourself, I'm good. I might make a blooper reel when this is over. Tell me if you want that.